The Cincinnati Bengals have their guy. Hi again, everyone, and welcome into Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I'm James Rapien of BengalsTalk.com. It is draft night. We're here, and the Bengals have a new player on their team. Shemar Stewart, the Texas A&M defensive end that we mocked, by the way, in our predictive mock draft, is the newest member of the Cincinnati Bengals. They took him with the 17th overall pick in this year's draft. 1.5 sacks last year. That's the number everyone's going to talk about, is the 1.5 sacks. And I get it. The Bengals need production on defense. The Bengals need numbers. The Bengals need splash plays. The Bengals need playmakers. And what they're saying is that the 6'5", 260-plus pound Shemar Stewart is going to do just that, is going to produce for them, is going to be disruptive, and is going to give their defense a weapon. Let's dive into Shemar Stewart. I literally just posted a conference call on Cincinnati Bengals Talk on our audio feed. So check it out. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts, conference call with the newest member of the Bengals. You're going to hear me plug that a lot because that's our podcast platform. It's separate from what we're doing here on YouTube. Check that out because you're going to get all of those conference calls all weekend long. And I thought, let's start there. My initial reaction is Shemar Stewart's fired up, has a chip on his shoulder, is extremely confident, believes that he can be extremely disruptive. And one thing that I think is interesting, and I've literally never seen this, and this is why I was really high on him for the Bengals, and I thought the Bengals would really like him, is he has the measurables, right? So he's 6'5", he's 260-plus pounds, played at like 280, played at a really good size where he can kick inside and be versatile along that defensive front for new defensive coordinator Al Golden, for new defensive line coach Jerry Montgomery. And so you have that. You have the size element. You also have the speed element and the athleticism. Tested really well at the combine. I asked Zach and I asked Al about that video and audio up as well, Al and Zach talking about the pick. But they said, oh, yeah, of course, the athleticism that they saw at the combine showed up on tape. And that, to me, is always the key, is does it show up on tape? And a lot of you are going to see that 1.5 sack number. And you're right. But if he had 10.5 sacks, he would have gone top 8, top 7, top 5. And I think that's the really interesting thing when it comes to this. Like last year, Amarius Mims, he had checked a lot of boxes, right? Size box, athleticism box, ability to block and hold up in pass protection, the ability to do all the things that you ask an offensive lineman to do. And what was the one box he hadn't checked? Experience. Only had 8 starts. And so that was the thing that caused him to fall to 18th overall to the Bengals last year. This year, why do they get Shemar Stewart? Well, it's because he had 1.5 sacks and not 8.5. If he had 8.5 sacks, he would have been the number 2 pass rusher in the draft behind Abdul Carter, and there would be no debate. There would be no discussion about it. And so I do think it's interesting. Now, I'm going to get into the Mike Greens and the other guys because I get it. I can feel it. I know that some of you are like, well, why didn't they go this route? We will get to that. But before we do, let's talk more about Shemar Stewart. What the Bengals are banking on and what they're saying, what they said to you tonight, it has nothing to – I see all the freaking out. And I get it, the 1.5 sacks. I understand. But what they're saying is, with the new coaches we hired, Al Golden, Jerry Montgomery, this entire revamped defensive coaching staff, that we believe that they are going to maximize what this kid can do. And what this kid did last year at Texas A&M was be disruptive, 39 pressures, was able to kick inside when needed and play defensive tackle on pass rush downs, was able to move around on the defensive front. And I think a lot of people are going to view him as a project, and the Bengals just don't view him that way. They think he's going to come in and play right away and come in and be disruptive right away and be part of a rotation right away. And the thing I really liked about the conference call, and again, you should listen to that. Just search Cincinnati Bengals Talk wherever you get your podcast, is Shamar was like, oh, I'm going to be following around Trey Hendrickson everywhere he goes. Talked about Trey Hendrickson. I watch Trey all the time. I love how he rushes with power, and that's how I rush. And we asked Al Golden about that and Zach Taylor because I can already hear it. You're like, oh, well, he rushes that way, but he only had 1.5 sacks. Needs to finish more plays. Totally get it. Totally understand it. But to me, when the Bengals looked at their board, they said, all right, we would definitely be in on Walter Nolan. Walter Nolan got picked 16th. I think they were in on him. I think that they were looking for defensive help. They would have pivoted if needed. I think they like Tyler Booker a lot. We've talked about Tyler Booker. He was gone. He went off the board at 12. Oddly enough, Shemar Stewart said that the Cowboys showed a ton of interest in him pre-draft. The Bengals, on the other hand, only met with him at the Combine. That's another thing that you're going to see out there. Shamar, he's on the conference call with us, and he's going through different questions and stuff, and then he was asked about the Combine meeting with the Bengals, and that got brought up, and he was like, I don't remember it. And he didn't have a 30 visit here. And usually when you don't have a 30 visit, it's because the team doesn't have any questions about you. That they answered all the medical questions. They have all the character questions out of the way. And I think that's it. I think that's really how the Bengals view this pick is size, speed, athleticism, the ability to be disruptive. He needs to work on finishing plays. And if that's it, if that's the thing, because he has the length, 34-inch arms, he has the height, he has the weight, he has the athleticism, he has enough rooms in his repertoire, and just needs to finish a little bit more. Didn't the Bengals hire Jerry Montgomery to help in that department, to help maximize their defensive line? And so, yeah, it is a roll of the dice. I agree with you. There are guys that I had higher than Shemar Stewart. I'm not going to say that this is necessarily the route I would go, but I understand it. I understand why the Bengals went with Shemar Stewart tonight. I understand why they're saying, all right, our coaching staff is going to get the most out of this athletic freak that is a couple of sacks away from probably being a top 10 pick. And easily could have been the 12th pick tonight, honestly, because Dallas was in on him. I think the 49ers were certainly in on Shemar Stewart as well. And so that's where I'm at. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are upset or annoyed, bothered, think that this is a project that's going to take years. I'm not sure it's going to take years. They need someone that can help make plays, disrupt the quarterback, get to the quarterback, be in the quarterback's face, make that quarterback uncomfortable. If they get that out of Shemar Stewart as a rookie, and that's reasonable to think he can do that and hold up against the run, as he continues to develop his athletic traits, well, you may have a really high-end player on your hands. And that's where I land here. It's a roll of the dice, but it's a roll of a dice on a player with huge upside. It's a huge swing. And even if they don't hit it completely out of the park, if it ends up being a double or even a single, they're going to get a productive player because he's that athletic, because he's that physically gifted. And honestly, after that conference call, I think he's that motivated. I do. I think it's not like you're questioning his work ethic. You haven't heard anything like that. And I will say, Dane Brugler, you look at his big board, he was ninth on Dane Brugler's big board, and in the top 10 on Dane's big board throughout the process. Chris Sims really high on him. There are a lot of draft analysts that are high on Shemar Stewart that look past or can see the 1.5 sacks, but understand what he can be in the NFL. I think the Bengals see that as well. So now, why didn't they go with James Pierce? Why didn't they go with Mike Green? I think there's a couple of reasons. One, you're talking about lighter guys that aren't going to have that versatility on the front and be able to move potentially and play in different spots. Two, there's questions about those guys. There's a reason James Pierce had a 30 visit with them. There's a reason why Mike Green is off of some teams' draft boards, according to Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer. The off-the-field stuff. You don't hear anything about that here with Shemar Stewart. And so the one thing that everyone's wondering is why I didn't have more sacks. It's on the coaching staff to get it out of them. It's on the organization to do that, and they're saying, hey, we are going to do it. We'll see if they get it done, but this is a new coaching staff on defense. These are new guys, and I will point this out too. Jerry Montgomery, when he was in Green Bay, he had Rashawn Gary, who was a toolsy player. Usually when you bet on the athletic freaks at defensive end, they end up being pretty good. Trayvon Walker a few years ago goes first overall, didn't have the production at Georgia. First overall. The Jaguars are crazy, and yeah, Aiden Hutchinson's awesome. The Bengals didn't pass on Aiden Hutchinson here. If they just got Trayvon Walker, it'd be a heck of a pick. So I'm keeping an open mind. My grades will come at the end of the draft. We're not going to get into that tonight. Keeping an open mind. I understand the Bengals process. It's why I mocked them. I thought that this could be how it fell. It fell that way. And, well, we're going to have you covered all draft long. Make sure you check out Zach. Make sure you check out Al and what they had to say. It's like 15 minutes of really good stuff about Shemar Stewart. Check out our audio, our conference call with Shemar Stewart as well, wherever you get your podcast. And, well, stay tuned because we have rounds 2 and 3. I'll preview those on Friday, and then we're going to have you covered all draft long. So hit that subscribe button, follow wherever you get your podcast. And for Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien. Welcome to Cincinnati Shamar. I'm going to try to bother him tomorrow. Get an interview with Shemar Stewart. We'll have a news conference with him tomorrow if all goes well. So until then, for Andrew, I'm James Rapien. Thank you so much for watching Cincinnati Bengals Talk.